Welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Josh Taylor, Tim Benz joining me in studio. This is his first go-around, so take it easy on him. 412-575-2600 on the Borders and Borders hotline. Phone lines are lighting up. Before we start taking some calls, Tim, I want to talk about Aaron Donald here for a second. Huge week for Pitt football. A big donation from him, 7 figures. He's the youngest donor ever to make that kind of size of donation to the Pitt football program. Comes to the blue-gold game today. He coaches on the blue side. Talked about his commitment to University of Pittsburgh. He said, once you're committed to it, you're locked into it. He talks about how he wants to still be available, not only for the program, but for the players themselves. He says he's at their disposal whenever they need him. But I wanted to get your opinion on Aaron Donald. First of all, a guy who came in and just took the league over. 5-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro. We're talking about one of the most dominant players on the defensive side of the ball in the game today. But on top of that, he has still managed to really keep a really firm net. He still works out here. He still stays here during the offseason, and he's really found a way to keep himself very connected at home when it's really easy to be swayed being out in L.A.
Well, yeah, I think that helps as opposed to, like, for instance, Larry Fitzgerald didn't grow up here, right? And you didn't have Shady McCoy growing up here. And I would like to see, for Pitt football's sake, the ability to capitalize on having an Aaron Donald as an NFL conduit, so to speak. So, there was this hope, and they did have a pipeline there, especially like Tyler Boyd came along after Larry Fitzgerald. And
he was there today.
They had a succession of really good receivers after Larry Fitzgerald, and for a while they were trying to turn it into wide receiver U in the NCAA, and it never quite got there. And maybe because Donald is so dominant at his position, it could be viewed as sort of defensive lineman U if he puts his personal stamp on this institution in the manner that some quarterbacks have at various places or linebackers have at the University of Miami, things of that
DBs
nature.
at LSU,
yeah,
et cetera,
sure.
et cetera. Absolutely. Let's go to the phone lines here. We will start with David on the south side. David, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling in.
I just wanted to talk about Aaron McDonald giving that 7-figure donation to Pitt. I was just sitting back here thinking, there have been a lot of players from Western PA that went into the pros, made millions and millions of dollars with the Super Bowl, won Super Bowl as coaches, and never done anything what this young man has done. And I think people should give him his props. Rather, he was born here, he went through the system, and I think he's a special person, and people should understand that.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know about you, Tim, but I agree with everything you just said. And, we're pretty much speaking
We
to...
should give Aaron McDonald his props. I will give as many props to Aaron McDonald as humanly possible.
Oh, man. Yeah, to his point, we're pretty much giving him his due right now because this is
exactly it.
This is something
what are we not doing but giving him his props?
You don't hear about stories like this every day, and in doing so, for the record, we do agree with you. This is something that should be heralded and should be celebrated, and it's something that should be emphasized because it's not all the time. It just does not happen often where you see players that have reached his stature this quickly. That's the interesting part. He's, 25 years old? He's done this quickly in his career. This kind of individual, statistical achievement that he's had. 5 Pro Bowls, 4 All-Pros. He's done that, his first 5 seasons in the league?
It's a heck of a lot easier to do it when you hit your big money contract.
Right, right. That's the emphasis of it. He's done so well so quickly, he's allowed himself to get into that actual category that soon, getting that kind of
and let's be honest, what Aaron Donald really should do is just give another $1 million to Le'Veon Bell, because if it weren't for him signing his contract when he did, Lev never would have gotten the situation that he did in the first place.
Oh, man. I was waiting on that one. I was waiting on to come back around to the Steelers. But it does say a lot to him as a person. It says a lot to his commitment to Pitt. And like you said, hopefully this does lead to something where it allows other players that either come through Pitt or have came through Pitt in the past, allows them to maybe start this chain reaction to get a little bit more juice going and maybe help him build up the program. It's something that I'd really like to see, especially in this town with the program, with the kind of tradition that it has. Let's go back to the phone lines. Let's go to Don in Greentree. Don, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Hey, how you doing, Josh?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hey, I got to say 3 things about the Penguins. Number 1, they're getting old and they're not fast enough. Number 2, Oli Mala, he stinks. He shouldn't play. And number 3, Murray stinks in the playoffs. I think Smith should start Sunday.
Oli Mala and Smith, along with Aaron McDonald. That's a heck of a threesome right there. Yeah,
The old part, I can't get past the old part because
I can't get past the Murray stinks in the playoffs part with
I
the
can't
two
get past
cups.
that part either. That part stuns me because if there's one guy I'm not blaming for these first two games, it's Matt Murray. I'm not blaming him.
Yeah,
he's not the first culprit I'm looking at.
You know, Lehner may have been better than Murray,
but it doesn't mean Murray
was
bad.
better than Murray. But that doesn't mean that Murray lost these two games.
I agree.
And wasn't Mata scratched last night?
I don't remember seeing much.
Yeah.
of him.
So I mean, like, you know, I think we're looking really hard to find villains or scapegoats to the team that are low-hanging fruit here with that analysis. And, you know, I tend to start at the top, which is, you know, your top line that has carried your team right now hasn't done anything.
It's been non-existent.
And now you're going to put Dominic Simone up there?
I don't see him being a jumpstart guy.
You know, like, you're going to put the guy who doesn't finish on the line that hasn't been finishing to help them finish?
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. Hey, here's one thing I'll add to it. He mentioned the fact that the Penguins are old, and this is something that I have to bring up. Matt Cullen's, what, 42 years old?
Well, they definitely, the one point I'll agree with him on is they look like the faster team, the Islanders.
The Islanders are the faster team. It's just the old part because Matt Cullen's 42, so that really jacks up the average age on the roster. The next oldest guy is 32. Then you have about a dozen guys in between 30 and about 24 immediately behind that. I don't think age is the issue here. Lack of speed, I will say, is an issue, though.
Yeah, they don't look like they're getting to the pucks as fast as they used to during their Stanley Cup winning championship.
I would agree with that.
I think that's obvious.
Totally agreed. Let's go back to the phone lines. We will go with Nick in Bell Vernon. Nick, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Hi, Josh and Tim. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling in.
Just some Penguins observations real quick. I don't think they look nearly as hungry as the Islanders look. They seem like they play in spurts. There's not that consistent sense of urgency, throughout the game. And I agree with their speed is slowed down. Letang doesn't look nearly as good as he used to look. Making a lot of mistakes back there. They don't move the puck. You see how long that puck stays in the defensive zone? It's terrible. It's there forever. You don't see that happen. And also the defense doesn't join the offensive rush. It seems like we only have three guys working on offense, whereas those other teams, like the Islanders, guys are crashing in, coming in late, and like a second and third wave to try to make something happen. So offense is limited.
I think those are interesting points. I'll add something to that quickly before we go to a break here, Tim. I'll give you a second. Because I think there have been times on you mentioned how the defense hasn't always gotten in the break. There have been times when they just haven't been able to break out at all. It seems like the timing's been off, Tim. They haven't gotten that pass out maybe when they should have. Maybe they waited too long, or maybe they did it too soon. But there have been some issues here that I think come back to discipline. I think some of it with Chris Letang and Evgeny Malkin, while they're two of the team's most talented guys, maybe they're doing too much at sometimes, Tim.
Well, I'd argue that where the Islanders are coming off looking like the faster team, as a couple callers have said so far, is particularly when they get pucks as giveaways and turn them into transition opportunities. I think back to the Letang overtime screw-up where they got the puck back and immediately turned that into a 2-on-1. I think about the goal last night that ended up becoming the game-winning goal that made it 2-1, where they turned it into a 2-on-1 very quickly from a non-traditional point of turning it into a 2-on-1 more or less, getting Justin Schultz to go down to try to break up the pass. So I think they've looked like they get up to speed faster than the Pens when they go from defense to offense. And I think that has been pretty evident in these first couple games.
What we'll do is we'll take a break here. We'll come back. We got more phone calls, more discussion ahead. See you in a few.